The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Just waiting for a few more people to log in before we start the webinar. So I'll just give it a couple more minutes and then we'll get going. Okay, good morning. Hope everybody can hear me. I'm normally joined by my partner in crime, Brendan Upton, who many of you in the industry will know very well. Unfortunately, Brendan wasn't sure whether he was going to be available this morning, so I'm actually flying solo. So if you do have any questions, if you can pop them in the questions panel in the login area, and we'll try and field them later on if time permits. But otherwise, we'll get back to you if you can shoot us any questions. Would be really appreciated. So once again, thanks very much for joining me on this webinar regarding the new A2K Revit Annotation Tagging Tool. Come up with a fancy name called RevTag. Kind of does what it says on the tin. We've been developing this for a fair few months now, and with some lot of help from our developers, and hopefully it'll give you all something which will enable you to have a bit more efficiency in your workflows, be it from a consultant's perspective or a contractor's perspective. I'll just page through this presentation. Many of you probably know me from the industry. Some say I've got a great face for radio. I'm not quite sure what people mean by that, but anyway. So yeah, the functionality moving on for the Revit API Tag Tool is we've given you the option to split Revit systems, duct and or pipe systems, a numbering and renumbering function, sizing, elevation tagging, length tagging, bend angles, bend radius, as you can see in this list, fitting extensions and construction codes. Not necessarily limited to all that. Yeah, we are at version 1 of this product. So moving forward, we'll hope to, I'm just going to skip the live demo slide, do some future development. I've listed out, we've already got some end users been trialing and using this product. And this is the list of functionality that's been requested so far. So if you were going to pop a question in there, just have a quick glance through this list, because hopefully this list will answer many of your questions. So just running through real quick in this list. Go back one, sorry. Retain last entry for item number field parameter. So what we mean by that is, we'll see when I do the live demo, we've been asked to cache the drop downs so that when you go back to the tool, it doesn't revert back to the default. So you'll see, like I said in the live demo, again, retain last tag configuration. So this is a similar one, which it goes back to default duct and default duct. So we're looking to cache that. Splitting insulated duct in Revit systems. So unfortunately, if you've done internal or external lining of a duct system, when you do split the system up, the insulation disappears. We've put that down as a bug, but we need to just check back on that. So basically, the workflow suggested workflow would be to split bare duct and then apply the lining or lagging after you've done the splitting. So that's just one to be aware of. So currently, there's no access for fabrication notes fields. So the users who are familiar with CAD duct know that there is a notes field at item level, which can be populated to instruct either site or fabricators about specific information pertaining to objects. We're going to ask the developer to see if we can access this fabrication notes field and enable somehow for you to apply notes at object level for fabrication items. So we've also been asked, currently we can only do duct systems, pipe systems, and fabrication ITMs. So we've been asked, can we have an option to tag other categories like mechanical equipment, terminals, duct accessories, and so on and so forth. Yep, that's on the list. Ability to use tab select feature of Revit to pick the runs, as well as the current way, which is picking first and last piece of a run. So many of you who use Revit will be familiar with that Revit function. Improvements in the UI, so search fields for selecting tags in the drop-down list. You'll see what I mean in a moment. And access to radius fields for tagging and fabrication items. So currently that parameter is not available for tagging with fabrication items. And also another option here to export a config. So once you've configured a tag setup, having the ability to export that out and then re-import it into another model, so you get consistency with different projects and models. So I'm just going to come out of that, and this is the risky bit. So never do a live demonstration, but here we go. So I've got a Revit project commenced. You can see I've got at the top here a fabrication duct run. Here I've got a duct system, Revit duct system, and down here we've got a pipe system. So just focusing initially on the Revit system here, as you can see, it's currently in non-fabricatable lengths. So we've got some generic lengths, which is the method that many designers will use. So if we wanted to convert these to a split run, we can use this split tool. So sorry, I should have backed the truck up. Once you've done an install of the product, you should see in the add-ins tab here an A2K MEP tools ribbon. We've kept this fairly simple. Just working from left to right, we've got the split function, a numbering function, annotation, to click, configure, and a help button. So the help button, just for your information, if I click on the help button, it pops up with a version that we're running. This is the current version, which is available to download from the website. The links were in the PowerPoint presentation. And here we've got a feedback link. So you can click on this feedback link. It should fire up a web page. And excuse me, this gives you the option to type in some comments, keep them clean if you don't mind. And then obviously we'd appreciate it if you put your name and company name and email address so we can contact you. So there have, as I said, already been a number of requests which we'll be working on in the very near future for version 2. So that's the help button there. Doesn't do a lot more than that, but we are always available to contact through our support page, A2K support page. If you raise a case, then Brendan or myself will get back to you at the earliest opportunity. So, right, moving, I know you're all busy people, so we'll try and keep this as short and sweet. You've got loads of work out there, which is great news. Going to use the split tool, and here we get a pop-up in the canvas, and the split tool, it's pretty simple and straightforward. We can nominate a length of the straight that we wish to end up with, and we've got a nominal gasket field here. So we've got two options when we run the split tool, and that is we can either pick an individual element or pick a run. So just so you're aware, if you have a broken system, Revit system, obviously if we try to do pick run and go from one end to the other, like so, it will not see the whole system and will not break. I've modeled this, so not that I'm a high-level Revit user, but have used the routing option, and I know that this system is connected. If you did have a break somewhere in a fitting, it will only go as far as the fitting, and it will fail for the rest of the run. So we do, as I said, have this option to pick elements. Knowing how the industry works, this would probably only be prevalent for splitting straight runs anyway. So you could go through this system and just pick the straights, which would break them up in the logical manner. Just to make you aware, the way that we've got the union configured is that it's basically the end is set back. So when you nominate the lengths of these straights as 1400, at 1400 you will see, if I zoom straight right in there, the two straights are butted up to each other and the union is set back. It needs to be set this way so that the union doesn't consume the body length of the straight. Please feel free to reach out to us and ask us if you've not got this union. We can certainly provide the union to you. So that's basically the split tool. You will also notice that the system it's not smart enough to know that it needs to break these, so you have to revisit these runouts. So if I do pick element, I can pick that individual straight there, and it does come back with an error, which I think is something we're looking into fixing. So we'll try to pick run again and see what we get. Yeah, it does that, and then we have to go back. At the moment, that's because we've got the shoe just over this this union. So that's a case of just removing that shoe and then reconnecting it, and it should work now, hopefully. Let's just check that. Pick run, or should have done pick element. Better. So there we go. So sometimes it has a bit of a break. It assumes that it's broken because the union has gone into the shoe. So that's another one that we're aware of and we're looking to investigate. Unfortunately, we don't know where. We're just doing logical 1400 long lengths, so we don't know where that shoe is going to land on the union. So we'd have the same situation here. So that's just an FYI. We're aware of that, so we're looking into it. That's basically the split tool. You can apply the same through pipe work. If you've got some extremely long lengths of pipe, say the 6 meter lengths, then you could use a split tool to split these into procurable 6 meter lengths of pipe, if that's what the default is. Basically, that's the split tool in a nutshell. So moving forward, we've now got a numbering tool here. And the numbering tool is purely and simply to number the run and not annotate the run. So just so you're aware, if I click on the number tool, we get this in Canvas pop-up. And we've given you the option here to specify your own parameter in the parameters field. And for this example, we've got label as a text parameter. So I can type label in there. Unfortunately, this isn't caching at the moment. I was in the list. So if I cancel list and go back to the number option, it defaults back to mark. So this is something we're looking into. So it will cache that and just pop back up with your business parameter that you may use on a regular basis. So if I go back to the label, we've got options here to pre-populate the number with, say, 0, 1 and a hyphen. So that's, say, for example, level 1. And we can reset the counter, or we can increment the counter and start from wherever we finished last time. We can add some padding in here, so we can include a couple of zeros or whatever you feel like. And also we can put a suffix in here for low pressure. You can put a hyphen in there. So we've given you as much functionality as you want to use. We've tried to keep the interface, the UI, fairly simple and straightforward to use. So I'm going to now pick this run that I've just split. So we can go from end to end, again, pointing out that it needs to be a connected system, otherwise it won't know to number right through. And now we should have a numbered up system. If I click on here, and there is my parameter field, which is label, and that should be 1-15. If you obviously you can use this tool to renumber, so I could pick the run again and go back there, and it should go through. And if I can remember which item I picked, I think it was maybe this one. No, not that one. It's not done that one. So that should have renumbered them. Actually, that looks like it may not have worked. So we've got possibly another bug there that I've maybe just discovered. Anyway, that should work. We've got the programmers online as well, so we'll be hitting those guys up after I finish this webinar. Obviously, with fabrication items, we don't need to use the split tool because we've got the optimized lengths function for fabrication, which will reference back to your database specification and should split per your database specification. But the numbering function should still work. If I go back to label, this should allow me, I never do a live demonstration, and then go back to here. This should number up all this duct run. So that it finishes as highlighted when you finished numbering up. So there's the label, and apparently that's number 116. So that has numbered this run. So that's just the numbering function for systems and duct runs services. So before we move into the annotation section, we've got the configure button here, and this is where you jump into to set up your tags. So we've got in the drop down, and I did mention this before I started, just currently duct, fabrication, and pipe. So the duct and pipe systems and fabrication objects, that would be duct, a rectangular duct, circular duct, pipe work, and also cable tray. So it's able to tag anything in that space fabrication wise. Going back to the duct one, and just again for your information, if I go to fabrication and start to set up my tags in fabrication, and then save it or come out of there, go back to the config, it is currently defaulting back to duct and default duct. So this is something that we are looking to cache the last thing that you were in. So we'll remember what you were doing last time. It's you making the assumption that you're going back to change something in this configure tag options. Generally, we've made the assumption that once you've configured your tags, you wouldn't really be going back in to change things. So focusing on the duct system that I've modeled down underneath this window, we have a default duct type here, and you can see I've already pre-configured some other configurations. So if I click on the duct number type here, we've got now I've got in this example options to apply tags. So these tags are the tags that you would populate your model with, so your tag families, and we can select different items that we wish to tag. So I've got a duct fitting item boxed here. These are the BIM EPOS standard ones, and a duct item VMA boxed here. And once we've selected the tag we want to use, we can then determine what families will be tagged. So as you can see, I've highlighted all the families here. In the initial slide where we've had some suggestions, there's been a suggestion to have a search window here, so you can search for, if you've got your tags named as fitting or straight or whatever, it will search in the list of tags for that specific type of tag. And by the same token, we've got the families here. We'd like to have a search field, some description, so you can search and narrow down all the list of the families that you wish to tag. And then once we've populated these fields, I can do as many different things as I want. I could have a generic type in here that says duct all. I can do duplicate of that and call it duct all, for example, duct all, Save that. It zeroes out these options down here, and then I can say, well, I want to tag bend angle, and then determine that I want to be all these items here, for example, and then I can add another tag in here and say I want to do elevation and so on and so forth. I don't know whether I need to go into great detail about this, but you get the general idea that I can have a configuration that will do everything in one hit, which was asked of us previously. So, and then once I've built this up, I can do a save, and if I go back into the config, this should have duct all, which it does, and this is what I had set up. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to go into duct number here, as I was showing you before, and we can opt in here to override the location of the tag. So if you didn't want the tags that we're using in this example are all on the center of the text field. So if I wanted to offset this, say for example to the top in the vertical and to the right in the horizontal, we can do. And then we've got other options to override this from the bounding box and say we want to go a further 300 mil or so. And we can then also say, well, actually, we don't want to number everything. We would generally number everything, of course. That's probably a bad example. But if I jump into the lengths here, we've got duct length here, and we could say, well, we don't want to number all lengths. Maybe we're looking to, in a new version, the next version, add the option to only detail up lengths which are non-standard. But if I go into sizes, we may not want to nominate the size of every single item. Therefore, we can populate this interval here and say we only want to nominate every third item. So that's the functionality or the flexibility that we've hopefully provided you guys with. So that's generally the config. It's pretty much the same for the fabrication aspect. Of course, we've got fabrication tags, specific tags here, and we've got the same. If I jump into the pipe, the same approach for the pipe work. Like I said, do feel free to shoot us any suggestions or comments over, and we'll look into implementing them in the next version. So quite simple. We've done the numbering of this run here. Use the annotate tag option. I'm going to do this duct system, and I'm going to jump into duct number, and we can have the option to pick individual elements, or we can pick a whole run, and there should be a drum roll, but I've not got that ready. Hopefully we will see the numbers. And if you remember, I'd adjusted the location of the duct number, and it's placed it up in a horrible place that's unreadable. But as a good modeler, I would obviously tweak that tag to make sure that it's positioned nicely around the object. But that's the functionality of the numbering tool. That's for duct systems. I'm trying to remember now if I set up one for the fab, and I looks like I may have done. I'm going to risk it. I've see if I did do, and it's running hopefully through the system. Okay, so I used the wrong tag there. I've got a couple of options in there, but it's fairly straightforward. You can see what should happen if I'd used the right config. So that hopefully is enough on the annotation functionality. The two-click option we've given you because we know that, again, I'm going to go into here and say I want to place a tag for the angle of this bend. And now we get a freehand option, but as I said in the earlier version, there's currently that functionality is not available. So if I go back into Fab and go to radius, I'm pretty sure that this, oh no, it's not available. Sorry about that. So, bad example. As I said, never do a live demonstration. Let's just see if we've got size. Let's try size, see if I've set that up. Or maybe not set these up. So I'm going to go back to the Revit systems and do it on the Revit system. I'm pretty certain I've set these up. Radius and angle. Try duct fitting radius. This hopefully I have configured. Yes, I have. So I was only doing this, setting this up this morning. So just wanted to show you the functionality. So we go radius and angle and do radius of this bend, place tag, and away you go. And it will keep running until you finish the routine. So I can do multiple tags in one go, and I just press escape to come out of the routine. That is really pretty much it as far as demonstrating the tool. As I said, it's version 1, and we are looking to make improvements to version 2. The product is very reasonably priced at $49 plus VAT, GST, that's UK. Yeah, going back to the PowerPoint, it's available, as I said, at this through this link here. It's on our content lounge. So you go into the A2K page, web page, jump into the A2K web page, and there's a content lounge link. And here is the product that's downloadable. You can download it. You can try it for 30 days for free. And yeah, like I said, we'd love to have your feedback. And many thanks for your time. That's pretty much it for this webinar. So again, once again, appreciate you joining us, and thank you and goodbye.